Welcome to the Think Fresh, Move Forward podcast. My name's Cody, and today we're going to talk about software and how not to waste money in your business.
So you telling me that every company that says free, they're bullshitting me and lying?
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't they? I mean, that's how they get you, right? Because you have free, you have freemium, and then, of course, you have paid software.
I mean, you gotta know that they're a business. Like their intent is to make money, not to just exist to give you things, right?
What's the difference between free and freemium?
So the difference between free and freemium is that free is obviously always free, and then freemium you have paid tiers. So the freemium is really where businesses and software companies actually try to get most of their clientele, because you get used to using a platform
Like Slack.
like Slack, like
Oh, your first
Microsoft,
10,000 messages are free. That's a lot of messages, and
Oh,
you've
yeah.
built your entire project.
Well, in reality, not, because if you have, say, a startup and you're using Slack for like webhooks and notifications, you have everything integrated into that, every single thing, not just chats between me and James or me and Aaron or me and you. You have 10 people plus all these integrations that are feeding into it. 10,000 messages, you can go quick. And then before you know it, if you want to add more than just, I think it's 5 integrations to Slack, you need to pay for it. And that's how they get you.
So you essentially built your business using this free platform, and now you're kind of
Stuck.
back into a corner. Got to pay me.
Yep. And you're stuck. And
It's like a U.S. government.
And then they start doing it per seat instead of the paid tiers. Instead of buying software one and done, now you're on this monthly per seat, which is a better model for businesses, because obviously the more people you have, the more money they're going to make.
Okay, so help me real quick. You have free software, and then you have freemium,
Yes.
and then I guess you would just have paid,
Yep.
just straight paid software.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah. So freemium, yeah, definitely got me with this, a scheduling thing, right? I use this app called, I don't know if it's an app or it's an app.
It's software.
It's software. I use Setmore, right? And I got it because like in when I first started my business, it was just like so convenient, and it would like you can put your services in there, you can put the cost in there, so like I can generate my reports every month.
It lets you set more.
Yeah, it lets you set more appointments, as it turns out.
That's it.
Yeah, that's
That's where they got the word. Wow.
Wow.
It's powerful. It's powerful.
Doo-dum-tsh.
You would almost think that was part of their marketing.
Don't we have that sound effect?
And then- Doo-dum, ding.
I don't think we do.
No, but now like it is like it is so ingrained.
You live
and
by it.
It is, yeah, I
Yeah.
live by it.
And now to even move away from it, it would actually cost you money.
It makes me physically ill to think about
So
not using
mentally,
that software.
So mentally, you're
Having
drained.
to
and
change
now-
to like
yeah.
Google Calendar. Yeah,
I find it annoying when I have to do 2 calendars now to manage when it comes to our stuff. And even though I add you to our calendar with your email and you get the notification, I have to go and log into your Setmore, make sure I click on your profile, and make sure I choose the right service. It's actually kind of annoying.
yeah. I'm sure it is. Sure it is.
Tough
do you
shit.
do it?
That's what he uses.
Deal
That's
with
what
it.
his
It
calendar.
is- look, it just kind of is what it is at this
But-
point.
Gone.
The freemium software got me, and I'm in the trap, and I've just decided to build a recliner.
Gone are the days where you could just download the software, the full program off Pirate Bay.
Have
Oh,
it
yeah.
forever.
Have it
Forever.
I
Wasn't
think
it great when you could buy stuff
the
and then
biggest
you just
one-
had it forever?
like so Adobe
That was
Photoshop.
awesome.
That was the biggest. That was the most downloaded pirated software. I think it was 2014 or
I
2013.
may have done that. After Effects.
No idea
too.
what you're talking about. Can't confirm or deny. But that was the most downloaded or pirated software ever, and that's one of the first companies that started doing it
Yeah.
because they were pushing out so many updates. They had so many features requests, and that was one of the ways around piracy. Was that's what they needed to do to avoid it.
They get to a subscription service versus
Yep.
you buy the software once and then you're done.
And then now you can still have it, but then you have the softwares that reach out to, their servers and goes, well, this is no longer in service. You can't even use this software anymore. And then you're forced to buy it. Mac.
Yeah. I at this point I am so attracted by software that is like just paid, right? And it's like at this point I'm just like, oh, $300, $500 for the software?
Yeah, lifetime?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Give it to me. Lifetime?
Lifetime.
I'm in. And used to be like, this costs $30. I don't know, guys. Let's see if there's a free version.
And that's where I always go. especially like starting a new business, because I'm actually starting like my own MSP, right? Like
What's an MSP?
Managed service provider. So I do managed services for organizations.
An IT
right?
company.
IT companies, right?
Okay.
So anything that deals with computers, IT consultant, security, yada yada yada, so on and so forth. But
So you can build me a PC then.
No.
I mean, that's one of
I
the
mean, 'cause
things,
you
but
could.
you're thinking like more along the lines of like enterprise stuff, like servers. What kind of
Yeah.
what kind of server do you need? Do you need a firewall? Do you need switches? Like I can put access points in your building, stuff like that. That's
Data
what
storage.
Yes, right. Like solutions architecture. Like, do you need cloud services for all of your stuff? That is all in the realm of an MSP. Some MSPs do certain specific things that are all on premises, and then some other just do only cloud or a combination of both.
So
but
let's talk about some great software that is out there and some bad ones to avoid if we can come up top of our head for a new business. Just a generic.
yeah, that's where I was
small-
leading to.
Oh, okay.
With the whole MSP thing, because like I needed an email suite. I mean, like Gmail, you can do it and just forward emails through. Let's call another service called Cloudflare. They actually have a new thing that's in beta where you can just buy a domain name, not even have Google Workspace, and then just forward info@freshmoonmedia.com to your Gmail account. So on front facing from James, it's going to info@freshmoonmedia, but it's going to my personal email account without paying for Google Workspace.
Yeah.
So
On that
that's-
note, though, I would definitely recommend as a business owner is not to have an @gmail.com
Oh no,
or
yeah,
at
no way.
AOL or Yahoo.
Really?
Or, yeah.
To a certain point. No,
To
yeah.
a certain point.
Definitely
Yeah.
a certain
Because
point.
you don't look. There's a
Don't look
small
legitimate.
aspect level of professionalism you lose, and a level of authority that you tend to lose when you don't have that.
I guess
not only that.
I guess it depends on who you're emailing too. Yeah.
Not,
So
o-
if you're-
not
if
only
you're-
that, but some major companies, they have linters in place or scanners or whatever you want to call it, email firewalls that put in front of it. If it's not even a verified domain name, it'll just go to spam.
Really?
So if you're doing like email marketing stuff out with an @Gmail, @Yahoo or whatever, and it's not a
That's
verified
wild.
domain name, and you're doing mass emails,
That's
it just
crazy.
goes-
Yeah,
so
if
you're
you're-
wasting money at that point.
If if
Wow.
your business is just working with the average small mom and pop shop, sure, you might be okay. But as you hopefully grow and scale, which most I don't know why you
Hopefully
wouldn't
most
want to do
businesses
that,
do.
because if you don't grow, you're dying.
Mm.
Like for example, the banking client that we're pitching, I can guarantee you we would never have even be in the room to conversation to quote them a new website redesign, especially with the dollar amount that we're quoting. It's just
Interesting.
it's a, when
Yeah.
you-
Well, I mean, and I think the expectation is also different between like a digital marketing agency and
a single person.
whatever a single
but
person.
even then, there are local digital marketing agencies here that still go off a @Gmail
Mm.
domain.
And it's not that
Some
expensive.
that are established too.
It's not that expensive. It's $6, or I think they raised their price like $8 per person. So it's not that expensive. Plus, you
Per
get
month, or-
storage. Yeah, per month.
Yeah.
Per user.
And then, per user per month. So, $16 for the two of them per month to have.
We
You
pay
got
The
Gmail,
amount
you
of
got Google
subscription
storage.
payments-
we pay a little
Oh,
bit
yeah.
more than $16 a month to
Well,
Google
I mean,
at
I
the
was just talking
moment.
about just you two.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you guys definitely pay more because you got Google Ads and you got everything else there too as well.
Yeah.
Frame.io, Dropbox.
But like back to
The amount of
free
money
software.
by the way,
Yeah.
the amount of money we spend on a monthly basis on all these services we have is an ungodly amount.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off. So Zoom, Adobe,
You pay for
Dropbox.
Zoom?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
you
it's
have
actually recommended to pay for Zoom because you have Zoom hijacking nowadays.
Yeah, and
People
you
can-
also you
people
can't
jump
go
in your
over
Zoom.
a 40-minute meeting if you don't. So, and that's like
All
every
these
meeting of
freaking
ours.
things.
We would have no
When I had
chance.
that meeting
All
with the
these
Virginia
things.
delegate to talk about crypto mining,
Yeah.
they don't even have the paid version, and I think they do that on purpose so they keep their minutes to at 40 minutes.
Oh,
Well, they're also state
They-
legislation, so they would have to go through a whole process of actually getting that approved software.
True, but still, it's like your state government. You can't afford the money, or you don't want to, and you use that as a
'Cause they
crutch to keep
probably-
your meetings at 40 minutes
Because they
long.
probably use Microsoft Teams.
Probably
Because most government, DoD, state, local governments, they're
Yeah,
all
that's true.
owned by
That's true.
Microsoft.
I was just like, how convenient is this meeting only gonna be 40 minutes and it's gonna immediately shut off?
So
So-
what are some examples of some software that somebody who is bootstrapping, right? So you obviously have the, get a real email.
So I would
right?
say, yeah,
Beyond
the
just an
very
@Gmail or
first
an
one is
@AOL.
find a domain name, which, I mean, biggest service out there, to my
Easy.
knowledge, is GoDaddy,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Find a domain name, buy that, $10, maybe $50 at max. Don't
Yep.
spend over $50 for your first domain name. That's just a waste.
Yep.
Because when you come to renewals, you're going to be hurting if you're paying for a $500 domain name.
Yeah.
And then you need an email service, right? So you need to actually have, like, you can do big two, Google or Microsoft. And that's a big ecosystem question, and that will tie into like Mac or Windows as well, right? So if I'm going Google, I have my email service. I can use Google Docs. I can use Google Sheets. I can have presentation. So now if I go that route, now I don't have to go the Microsoft route. I don't have to, and Microsoft is just a 365 where you can just have email exchange like Outlook. That doesn't count maybe Word, spreadsheets. So now you're actually saving money by going the Google route for a startup because you have everything in the Google ecosystem versus going the Microsoft route where you're not getting all that extra stuff. You just get the email service.
Fair point.
Right.
Yep.
So that's one. After that, then you have, email marketing. Go ahead.
I was going to say QuickBooks.
Oh, quick.
Yeah.
Well, I
That
mean,
should be your first
invoicing.
one.
Okay, banking. I mean, there's a lot of apps down there. I actually use, it's called Novo. You send them your DUNS number and you get free invoicing. You get, not even the what is it? The accounting is not nearly as much as QuickBooks.
For anyone who doesn't
Yeah.
know do you know what a DUNS number is?
No,
You ever heard that term?
I've never heard that term.
It's your business credit score. So
Or
you have a
never
credit score
DUNS.
as a
I
person.
say EIN number. That's what I was saying.
Oh, your
DUNS
EIN.
number, yeah.
Okay. Well, DUNS is I forget the acronym what it stands for, but it's just a credit rating system for the business,
businesses, yeah.
which is a lot harder to manipulate on the way on the
Data
upward.
universe numbering system.
Very hard,
That's wild.
And as a business, you can go and request one, and if you haven't, you should.
which you
Definitely.
should.
and
you
then
definitely
and then
should.
when you do, you build over
Aaron's
time.
learned something today.
Well, and just like any
You're
other
welcome, Aaron.
credit
Man,
score,
I play with cameras. I
Creative.
use like I use like 2 pieces of software and
yeah.
everything
free.
else scares me.
I think it's free now.
There
Getting a
are
DUNS number
elements
is
of
free.
it that they charge for, but
The
you
free
get
one is fine.
Yeah.
Getting one is free.
You get one, and then over time you build your credit, and obviously it helps with things like lending, right? Like
Yeah,
any other credit
if you
score.
come, like, say, if you want to buy a building or build a building, if you're an established business, yeah, you could have all the money, but you definitely want to have that credit ranking. And so, like, from time to time on QuickBooks, because QuickBooks does lending as well, but it attaches to your DUNS
QuickBooks
number. Even
Capital.
when we don't need it, I do it because I know it's increasing our business credit score. And it's also on a different scale. I think like 600 or 650 is like the highest you can get. It's a much versus like 850, whatever
Yeah.
it is for personal. So, but something when having QuickBooks, which is what $25 a month, I think the cheapest version. They do have like a solopreneur one. I think it's like 12, but we pay $25 a month for ours. And there's all different type of things in there. But you also, as a business owner, you need to know how much money you're spending and how much is coming in.
Oh, yeah,
QuickBooks, as
Yeah.
much as I hate paying QuickBooks, by the way, used to be a system that you could just buy all together
Yep.
and
One
they moved-
time and have
one
it
time,
forever.
have it
Yeah.
forever.
Yep.
Yeah, gone
yeah.
are the days.
And they've been essentially moving slowly away from that. So
yeah.
QuickBooks, 100%.
Yeah, I use
So-
QuickBooks Intuit. I think it's
Yeah,
it's
the same
it's a
company.
lower
Same
priced
thing.
version.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, because they have different tiers for what
Yeah.
you need. Yeah. So we have what? Email, not even email marketing, but your email service.
Yep.
Your actual business, like what are you writing documents on? Excel spreadsheets. If you're doing bookkeeping, you got bookkeeping. which is
DocuSign.
I think
DocuSign.
I
Oh,
think
I hate
possibly
that is
I
a good one.
Hate DocuSign.
Signing contracts.
Yeah.
There are plenty of servers out there. DocuSign. I mean, you can use that. You upload a document.
Of any document service that is paid for, I think DocuSign is the most overpriced.
I think so too.
Like there are other platforms that are just as effective for cheaper. DocuSign is just ugh.
it's the name. It's the name because
It's
I know
a-
what DocuSign is.
And then you
They
have
were- they were one of the
Adobe.
early ones.
Adobe PDF actually has the ability to sign stuff as well.
No, and
So does
your
my Mac.
calendar. That
Mhm.
I feel like as a business owner, like finding a
Scheduling.
great scheduling.
Especially in your industry.
Oh
That-
my god,
yeah.
yeah, that is
Like-
everything. It's the thing that controls my life.
So why not Calendly?
What?
Calendly.
What is that?
That's another
Well, people-
scheduling
that-
Swear to God.
That's where
calendar-
people book with you. So
Yeah.
you essentially you set pre-defined times,
Yeah.
and then people.
didn't know
it's like
this?
self-scheduling. Self-scheduling.
It's
I
a
hate
self-scheduling.
So what's the one you
I'm
use? What's
shocked
the one
that
that
you
you called?
haven't.
I
No,
use this thing called
Set-
Setmore.
Well, he
Setmore-
sold his
Setmore.
soul to.
I sold my
Setmore.
soul
No,
to
so
them.
So Setmore is more like our Google Calendar.
Okay.
So, but it's where
I
he
have,
can
like-
manage and he can tie his services and all that kind of cool stuff to it.
I've got
Calendly,
3 or 4 admins linked into Setmore, and so it's like
you could still use Calendly. I don't know. You might be able to integrate
You should.
Calendly
you should look
into
into
it.
that. Yeah.
But it's another paid service.
To a point, it's freemium. You get some free stuff in there, but yeah.
For what you do, it makes sense. But you might be
Here's the challenge with it. The challenge with it
Is you
have to
drive to these locations
Well,
and
you have to put a 2-week rolling schedule in there. And if you're going to truly allow people to self-schedule, it's like a different. You have to have different expectations, right? Because they might choose a time that's inconvenient for you, right?
or
Unless you make
location is
built-in
inconvenient.
You can build in windows. You have to be really on top of it, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because,
So I have
So you might as well not even use it.
so I use
Come to the dark
Setmore,
side of
and as
Google
much as I
Calendar.
talk about Setmore, the only real beef that I have with Setmore is the Google integration. So you can integrate it into your
Google Calendar.
Google Calendar.
I know. I have your
problem-
Setmore pull into
But
my
the
calendar.
problem is it's weird, right? So if you're just like, okay, integrate this with my Google Calendar, all of a sudden, everyone who is an employee on your payroll, everyone who you're like, if you have a second shooter, if you have a third shooter, if you have an admin, it integrates all the schedules in there, and it all of a sudden looks like you are triple booked every single day for the rest of your life.
That looks like my Google Calendar.
It looks
right?
like-
It's all my employees.
It literally looks like our because that's just the way Google is. I have everyone's calendar on here, and we have a staff meeting. There's like 5 blocks that say staff meeting. Or one thing is Alexa at home is integrated to my Google Calendar, and I say
Your meeting for today.
I say, hey Alexa, I may have like 5 meetings total, and then I say, Alexa, what's my schedule for today? Which is really a cool concept, and it tells me, oh, you have 25 events today, and it says, oh, you have a staff meeting at 10:15. You have another staff meeting at 10:15, and it goes because it's
Oh my
integrated
God.
all my
All the
employees
other
stuff.
calendars, yeah.
See, I no.
And then after 4, you can't change it. It says, it tells me to tell her, if you want to hear more, ask again. So I have to do that every 4
Oh,
events.
God.
So I've just stopped asking.
That just that gives me
That's some anxiety-inducing
small-
a morning right there. I would just
a small
be
baby
checking my
aneurysm.
phone
All right,
at
so
that point.
email, we got Google,
So
Microsoft,
we got email.
QuickBooks for banking.
Yeah, let's talk creative, right? Because
Oh, let's go to marketing next.
Okay,
right?
yeah, sure,
Because
sure.
I'm just going around. I'm just going
Yeah.
around this list here because we got we need emails, we need accounting.
Yep.
Now we need marketing.
So there's all
Right.
kinds of
Well, payment processing actually.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
we can do that. I mean, it depends on who you go with. It also depends on your business too. If you're
So,
brick and mortar.
When it comes to
Like-
credit card processing, and I'm gonna go off a slight rant on credit card processors. I absolutely despise credit card processing companies with a passion.
don't forget
That
payroll
and
companies.
payroll companies. Yeah, see, those are the 2 industries I despise because they're just a bunch of shady people.
Anyways,
When it comes to credit card processing, if you're doing less than, I would say right now, if you're doing less than $10,000 in transaction credit card volume using Stripe or Square or even PayPal, which I hate, the percentages are all the same. I think it's 2.9% of the transaction plus 30 cents.
30%.
But
Negligible differences.
But 3.4% if you key it in. So if you key in a credit card versus swiping, totally 2 different rates.
What?
You didn't know this?
No, I didn't
of
know
course
that.
I don't know this.
Yeah. So when you swipe a credit card, it's more secure versus when you're keying in a credit card, there's more potential for
Yeah,
fraud.
more risk.
Therefore,
yeah.
more risk.
That makes more
Therefore, a
sense.
higher percentage.
Yeah, because someone keys it in, they foo it up,
So-
and so happens to get a wrong number, and then someone's calling the fraud department, and then just
So-
costed the
But-
banking company money.
So, but okay. So I put my invoicing goes out at the end of the month, right? For all clients.
You said my PayPal link, right?
I just send them a PayPal invoice, and they just key in their credit cards.
Well,
yeah.
that's different
Usually,
going through
it's
PayPal,
so-
depending on how your fee structure is set up, whether you take the fee or they pay for the fee. If they pay with a debit card, the fees are different. Debit card transactions are like,
it's closer to
0.0.
checking. It's closer
very-
to like a ACH.
yeah, it's
transaction.
almost
Yeah.
relatively free.
Interesting. Okay.
Versus if you pay with a credit card. So when you pay those percentages, all those reward miles that you get, all these cool free stuff that these credit card companies push, the person who's paying for it is the business owner,
Yeah,
not
the
the customer.
processing fee.
Yeah. So all those like attractive, you get 1 mile per dollar spent. It's the business owner that pays for all your, free trips and free stuff. So that's where all that money goes. But that being said, where I was going down with this is when you get over $10,000 in transaction volume per month in credit card fees, then it makes sense for you to get to a contract with a credit card processing company where you pay a monthly fee, but your rate is way lower. And that really depends on your transaction volume. I do know with Square and Stripe, once you hit $250,000 in processing within 6 months, you can call them and negotiate, which is actually that's a lot. So your average small business owner is probably not doing $250,000 in 6 months. I do know with QuickBooks, every 6 months you can call and ask for a rate review, and usually they give you, a small percentage off. That reminds me, we need to do that again.
I need to do that.
But once you've been established on QuickBooks for 6 months, you honestly should be using QuickBooks for your invoicing and not PayPal,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Yeah,
If you're already
everything's
using
in one spot,
if you're already using QuickBooks for managing your expenses,
invoices are built in.
it's built in,
Yeah.
and it makes life so much easier, especially for your accountant. I don't know if you use Terry like we do, but it makes life so much easier, so much more streamlined. We use QuickBooks for all our invoicing.
Yeah, and you do need to get approved for QuickBooks. There's different. It's not just like the standard QuickBooks software, right? There's like
The only
actually
problem is
processing,
I
credit
use
card processing.
I use PayPal because all of my editors are keyed into there.
You can pay your editors there too.
In
Well-
QuickBooks?
Yeah. Why do you need to use PayPal to pay your editor? I mean, I understand if they're overseas, but
Yeah.
just
overseas.
because your clients pay you on PayPal doesn't mean you have to pay your editors that way.
Yeah, but overseas I do
Or
get
vice
that
versa.
element. If you're, not everything translates.
But
to
even
another
then,
country.
you don't have to, his clients don't have to pay him on PayPal just because he pays his editors on PayPal.
Oh, that's a fair point. No, that's
Yeah,
true.
no, that's true, yeah.
You could.
I
have
just
people
like the idea that the bulk of my payments come in PayPal, and then I can pay out my editors, and then I take and everything's tracked through QuickBooks, but then I take that remaining money and know that the money that I'm
makes more
pulling
sense,
from
because you have it all
PayPal.
in like a pool before
Yeah.
you actually pay it out to your bank account.
Right.
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 Yeah. That makes sense.
PayPal is just notorious for holding funds just because for the hell of it, and it could be 6 months to a year before you even see that money.
Interesting.
I've seen that happen so many times with business owners, especially if you grow.
If your account
fa-
gets flagged or something, there's something to be said
Yeah,
for that too.
especially if you grow, if you like have some stagnant growth and out of nowhere you get exponential amount of increase in sales, and like let's say you get a huge business deal and you need that money to fund something, to buy something for that project, and then PayPal just decides, well, sorry, we don't think looks legit, so we're gonna hold on to it for a few months and then release it to you. That could destroy your business.
Yeah.
That's
That's scary. Yeah, that is
that's
scary.
very
yeah,
scary.
no, that's why I hate PayPal.
So,
because of stuff like that.
So we've established Ryan hates payroll companies and
credit card.
He hasn't
credit
even
card
talked about
But I was
payroll
trying,
companies
but
yet.
that was my big point when it comes to software. When it comes to payment processing, every business owner should accept credit cards. I hate these business owners that don't. If you don't want to pay the fees, pass the fee along to the customer. Most of the time, the customers
even know.
don't care.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I like
Couple
the convenience.
cents they won't even know.
Because I make it a habit to pay with credit card because I know I'm going to get X number of miles from my United card, which I have like 1.5 million miles
You
now.
hit like 1 million like 9 times now, Ryan. We know that.
Yeah, and I've spent quite a bit of it. But that being said, when you hit the over $10,000 mark, because a lot of people don't know this, is when you go over $10,000 a month in credit card processing fees, if you're using Stripe or Square, you're actually overpaying in processing fees.
Yeah.
Like
You're losing money.
I think we paid last year in credit card processing fees like almost $30,000 through QuickBooks.
Probably, yeah. Maybe more.
That
than
hurts.
Yeah, I think it might have been
Yeah,
more.
you
than
can do
would
a lot-
like-
we can do a lot with
so-
that.
Yeah, so okay, so we have credit card processing, payroll. Quick plug for payroll. We've been using Patriot and we love it. I mean, Patriot's solid and it's like very inexpensive.
Yeah.
And it, because really, payroll companies aren't doing much, right? In
No,
my
they're not.
opinion, right? So there isn't a lot to do there. Now, I will say, if you were a business that had 100 plus employees and you had all kinds of deductions out of your payroll for different things, then I understand going with like a more
Enterprise level, yeah.
solution, right? But if you have a handful of employees and you're just looking for a relatively inexpensive but very streamlined, easy to use platform, Patriot is pretty solid.
QuickBooks has that too.
QuickBooks does have payroll as well. Yeah,
It
it's like
does.
an add-on, right?
Yep.
It's an add-on cost.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, it's like $5 a month or something like that.
So help me really quick. Let's talk. you were building a list earlier, and that's really interesting to me.
Like the list
the
of
list
like
of
little,
like the types of software that
The
businesses
areas,
typically need.
Right.
All right, so you have email.
Yep.
You have accounting.
Yep.
All right, we covered that. QuickBooks is a good way to go. We have
Payment processing.
payment processing, which we hate all of them.
how to get paid,
And then
so how to get paid and how to pay people.
how to
Yep.
get paid and how to pay. And then
I was gonna go-
scheduling and calendar.
We talked about that.
Okay. And
Project management is one we should talk about.
project
Yeah.
management. That's less of an individual and more of a team situation.
Oh,
Well, I would say even for an individual, because sometimes if you're an individual and you're doing a slew of like 10, 15 different projects.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, if you're
now
a
that I think
freelancer
about
with
it,
a lot of different projects.
especially
have
you
going,
for how many projects
definitely.
you have
Yeah,
with editing and stuff.
Yeah.
Project man, you do it. You just do it in your head probably.
I do it in my head. I do it in my head because I'm
project
scared
management-
of,
It's
I'm scared
happening
of
up there.
things.
at its
I'm
core
scared of
level,
introducing things in my life.
But if you can offload that into a solid software or app, you don't get stressed out as much.
Oh,
I mean, I've seen people do project
just-
management with
the stress
sheet-
keeps me
with
going.
It's
Excel
just
sheets or Google Sheets.
it's just another form of delegation. Is it to a person or is it to an app? That's all it is.
Yeah.
People always ask me like, Ryan, how do you have all these businesses? And oh, hey, Ryan, start another one. How do you have all this time? I delegate almost everything. There's some stuff that I do, but
Have
a
it-
lot of stuff I don't do myself.
I have a to-do list app
I mean,
on
yeah,
my phone.
that's project
just-
management. And
It
it's,
just kind of keeps all
is
of
the
everything
easiest
just living
form.
over my
Like
shoulder
a
at all
digital
times.
sticky note.
So yeah,
I use the Notes app on my iPhone
Yeah.
like religiously.
Notes
Bro,
app is
I-
great. Google has like the tasks you can pop up, and I do that on a daily basis. I just pop that down.
Google
Like-
has tasks.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Google
Google's
has
G
tasks.
if you get their G Suite platform,
And you actually
which is
use
part of
all
the
it,
email,
There's a lot in
there's a
there.
lot
There's
of
a
cool
lot of
stuff in there that you don't know about.
Interesting.
Except then you're stuck using like Hangouts for video conferencing.
What's wrong with
so
Hangouts?
terrible.
Everything.
Hold on.
So
What's
terrible.
wrong with Hangouts?
So terrible.
How? Like I've
It,
used
it
Hangouts
works
for
like
a couple
half
startups.
the time. Yes.
I have no. I have had people on Hangouts with 20 plus people in it with no
Oh,
issues
well,
for
okay.
hours. We used to hold conferences for hours.
That has
on
not
Google
been my
Hangouts.
experience with Hangouts.
Right.
So.
Okay. So
But anyways, yeah.
let's.
Well, that's video conferencing.
All right,
Zoom
so,
versus
so,
Hangouts.
So
there you go.
here's something I want to get to: creative, right? Because almost every small business needs
Sure,
to
yep.
make a flyer or do signage or create a document, right? And
Yeah.
so obviously you have things like the Adobe Suite, right? Which is like a big one out there.
yeah.
Gets really expensive though,
really
Yeah.
quick.
and updates every day and
also
hasn't
comes
changed in
with
30
a
years,
certain
right?
skill set.
I don't know. Okay. So
A certain skill set is
let me talk
required
a
for
second.
Adobe as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Let me talk for a second about Adobe because that's kind of like this is kind of where I'm more comfortable
your
to talk
area.
about like
which product of Adobe though?
okay,
Specifically?
yeah. So you need
All of it.
to figure out what you're doing in your business and whether or not Adobe is going to make sense. Because if you're going to be a photographer, there's also a big question of like, what kind of photography are you doing? Because if you can avoid Adobe, I strongly recommend it. I strongly recommend avoiding Adobe at all costs.
Why?
Okay, for video, Premiere is kind of like the industry standard video editing software, but the problem is it crashes
It's buggy
all the time.
Yeah.
It crashes all the time. You lose work all the time, and it's constantly updating. It is the most versatile software out there, like for sure. Like however you want to work and the way that you want to work, you can bend Adobe to how you function,
And there are a ton of resources out there for how to use Adobe Premiere.
and in terms of market saturation, like there's a big benefit in like people that put out plugins and software that can like plug right into Adobe. Adobe's ready for that because like that's what everybody's been working on for so long.
Like, industry standard.
Yeah. And so but
But
like
if you're going to use Premiere, make sure the autosave function
Is
is
on.
working,
Yeah.
and it's every like 15 minutes at a minimum.
yeah.
Wow.
Not
yeah.
but you know there's like for video editing for beginners, I strongly recommend DaVinci Resolve because DaVinci Resolve makes a save every single change you make.
Wow.
If you drag a clip over like a half
So it's
of
like
a
working
frame,
on a Google Doc essentially, right? Because it's like always
exactly.
it's always
That's
up
exactly
there.
how
Yeah.
it is. So they have this thing called Live Save, and so like that's awesome. Second, it's way more stable, and they've now in the last couple years they've been they've started like adding because they've become much more competitive with Premiere. But and so they've been adding a lot of features, and since then things have been like it's a little more glitchy than it used to be.
Now, where you're competing the two, besides just performance, did you actually look at like the hardware requirements between DaVinci and Adobe?
That's a huge thing as well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's the thing. So that's the thing. DaVinci Resolve can run on slower PCs. So unless if you're a new videographer, a new photographer, you can you don't have to spend $3,000 to get your.
But the thing is that you said it's consistently saving with every change. So the read and write speed of your SSD needs to be pretty solid, and if that's out of date,
I don't know.
that's very true, too.
I built my computer.
that's not more of you. That's
With
not your GPU though. That's all with your SSD as far as saving stuff.
I'm
So-
not working on an SSD. I'm using a RAID now, but here's the thing. Before that, I was just using a simple hard drive. I built my PC with a friend of mine like 6 years ago. It's still going strong. Like it's still taking the current version of Resolve. Everything's been awesome. I would never look back at Adobe ever. But then like Adobe, there's the photography side of the business where Adobe has layering down better than any other company that I know. Layering is just like basically where you can take a photo and take another photo and you can layer them on top of each other, and then there's a lot of really creative
manipulation,
things that
stuff
you
like
do.
that,
Yeah, because that's compositing photography. So that opens that whole world. So if you are not doing compositing photography, and you're in a situation where you're just taking portraits, I would strongly recommend Affinity. I would recommend do whatever you can to not be married to Adobe.
Yeah, because once you're in, like, you're kind of in, right? I mean,
Sort of,
we pay
yeah.
for Creative Cloud, so we have Illustrator, we
Yeah.
have Photoshop, we
After
have
Effects,
Premiere, we have After Effects.
Audition.
But then
Gotta add a list to this. To our
Adobe has a
YouTube.
pretty good plan for new photographers, and this is where they get people. It's like it's $10 a month for Lightroom and Photoshop.
So
That's not bad.
your
That's
average
great.
though,
Yeah.
your average business person who's not a creative type obviously doesn't need Adobe, but
Nope.
they could use Canva, which is a free online
Yeah,
software.
James is all about.
Yeah, if you're just
Canva.
putting-
Well, so especially if you're not a graphic designer, right, and you're a small business owner, and you're like, I just need to put together. I own an ice cream shop. I need to put together a simple sign I can put in my window, right? Canva is a really good option. And by the way, they're adding features, right? Just like you were talking about with Resolve. So they have now transparency options, and you can add drop shadow.
A very
You can-
drag and drop solution.
Yeah, and it's
Very.
very simple, and they got like templates in there. But when you talk about like something that's free, I mean, it is truly free. The only thing that you pay for is like if you want an advanced sticker to
Think,
put on it, or
yeah,
you want
or
like
if you
extra
want-
imagery.
or
Yeah,
I think
stock
it's
images. And what-
transparency backgrounds is a paid version.
Yes.
Yeah, you
And
can't-
stock
Oh, is it?
imagery.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
It's
okay,
a huge.
so-
Oh,
Their
I've been
stock
paid for it.
imagery is
I'm
very
so
cheap,
used to
though.
it.
Well, no, but I mean, it's like that. But it's even the paid version of
Peasant.
Canva is like very inexpensive. I mean,
Right.
you're not paying anywhere close to what you would for like a Photoshop. Right?
Yeah.
Right.
So, or
And
excuse
their
me,
stock
Illustrator,
imagery
not
that you would be
Photoshop.
paying for, like, so getting a stock service
God,
is very
that's
expensive.
expensive.
iStock?
Yeah, it is.
Oh my
Yeah,
god,
so
that's
that-
another thing we pay for.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
yeah.
we should probably
So-
start paying for that. We have a whole slew of, I don't know, like
Credits.
500
Yeah,
plus
we go through
credits.
surging.
Yeah.
Sometimes we use a ton, and sometimes we use it less, right? Depending
So
on the client.
Canva keeps that cost down just like because their images are like $1.
Yeah,
And it's just
cheap.
you can
That's
buy
true.
the one image when you need it, and
That's
that's
true.
that's
yeah.
very attractive when someone else is trying to sell you 10 images for $10 a month.
Yeah. And then you don't use them for like 3 or 4 months, and then you've
Yeah.
wasted money, right? Yeah.
So-
totally. Yep.
We did
Stack
talk
of
about
money.
project management, but we didn't really say what softwares are out there for that. So Slack is great.
use
Airtable
Teamwork.
is one.
Jeez, I mean,
There's
project man-
do it in your
project
head and be a
management
man.
I mean,
do
it's
it,
a
do it in
slew-
your head to be a man. Oh man, no, you can use a notepad.
Have your life fall apart and one thing goes bad.
You can use Google Calendar as
Things
project
are in
management
shambles.
tasks. Yeah. I mean, project management at its core is understanding your process, and once you have that down, then of course choosing your project management software, because like Monday.com, Airtable, they use a methodology called waterfall, and you know all the requirements of like a photo shoot. You know you have an hour for setup or however long. I'm just throwing arbitrary numbers out there. You know, setup and tear down is X, and you know we're actually gonna do the shoot for this long. Post and editing is gonna cost take this long. Now you have this actual roadmap, and you can actually see that timeline in a day, and then you can be like, oh well, I know exactly my timeline for that. And that's great. Now, do you need to be that granular? Maybe not. So there's other apps that don't do that. You don't need that. What's it called? It's I guess it would be a roadmap itself, or even a flowchart. You don't need that granular style. So then you have like apps like Airtable, where it's more like Google Sheets. You just add in cells, and you can have it in columns, and they're pretty smart. Like Airtable, you can do a lot with for a free version. Or if you're in service management, like MSPs, like Jira. Very big for service management because you can tie into other services that are with alerts for like things that are monitoring servers, like their servers for Fresh Move Media. I monitor their stuff. I get stuff set to my phone from Jira saying, hey, your server's broken. Within 5 seconds, I get messages. Like I know when their server's broken because my phone blows up for about 30 seconds because every single site that goes down, it's like, this site's down, this site's down, this. I'm like, okay, I get it. But so Jira is very powerful for service management. Now, choosing between those, because again, from our earlier, topic, once you're there, you're kind of stuck. And making that switch to something else might cost your business more. So doing all that up front is understanding not only the software you want to use, but your internal process for your business. A lot easier for you because it's you and 2 other people, right? And maybe for them, they have 5 people plus contractors and everything else. It gets way more complex to choose a platform.
10 or so people total if it's with us, but if we move to a new project management system, it becomes a nightmare because of the learning curve for every employee.
Oh, of course.
To use
Training is a big cost factor.
Is
definitely
a huge time away from projects that produce income versus something just to be more optimized. So it's just, you got to take it with a little bit more initiative when it comes to project management.
And that's why there's certifications like PMI is a whole certification you take. It's like a $700 test.
We've gone through a ton of project management software. We use Teamwork, which we need to get better at utilizing the project management side of it versus just chat.
Yeah.
And have each project managed by a chat, which is just another version of Slack in a way. So, but yes, more upfront time spent in research when it comes to project management.
And it's particularly and not every business needs the same thing, right? And a lot of what you're describing there, is in like really collaborative type businesses, right? Like we're in a creative shop and like there's a lot of people need to communicate.
Emily's not finished with the graphic and you can't move forward with copy until that graphic's
exactly
done.
Right. So
you
there's a lot of moving parts
that. Yes.
Versus there are other businesses that are much more systematic in their everyday interaction with clients, right? So I mean, if you are a retail store, you might have very simple project management because it's like every week you have these products that need to be ordered, and now you're talking inventory control is more important than
and that's why I like Jira, because I can have the combination of both. I have projects that are systematic where I know my process. Then I also have a separate project that's just built for you guys to submit tickets.
Sure. So
it all goes in one spot.
Let me ask this. So me being the complete idiot that I am when it comes to anything that I'm not intimately familiar with.
Always tearing yourself down, man.
And he's always smiling.
How do I not lose money on software?
Try the free version. Most companies have those 14-day trials.
And put a calendar and vet in your calendar
to remind you to cancel.
Some of them you can cheat. You can do the 14-day trial and the same day just downgrade to free.
So let me ask you. So what do you recommend to people in regards to freemium software? Like how do you tell someone, like, I don't actually regret using Setmore at all. In fact, I love Setmore.
Sure.
It's because it's so dead useful to keep track of how much money I'm making every week.
Freemium's great because you have the ability for growth. You don't get, you don't just buy it. Oh, we're paying $50 a month for everything when we only use a percentage. Freemium, you can go, I need free, and now, there's some of these services I really need. Do I want to make that jump into $12 a month, or do we want to just make the jump, or we might be able to use these other services over here for $30 a month and just make that jump? So freemium's great because you have the ability for those payment plans, and because you're not going to use all those services. If you don't need them, why pay for it, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I actually love freemium, because it gives you the ability to try a software, and I always immediately downgrade to free, because that 14-day trial, you're using that premium service, so you'll start building stuff out. Oh, this is great, this is cool to use, and then all of a sudden your trial's over, and it's like, oh, this is a premium service. You need to pay for this. You're like, well, shit, I can't actually use this. So you just wasted time, even though it was free.
Yeah.
And your time is worth how much an hour? So technically, you spent money on a free software.
So so you're saying the best way to avoid burning money is to use as little of the software as possible in the beginning and find out what's essential.
Understand your so if we're talking specifically project management, understand your process first.
Well, I think this applies to everything.
Sure, yeah. Understand your process first. That's the biggest thing. And of course, do reviews, cross-analyze. Like, oh, well, all these people say this software sucks. Well,
Not for everybody.
Yeah, not for everybody, but the majority of people, like, this has 2 stars out of 5. Like, well, obviously, I'm not going to use that. Like,
I would do that. I would say that. I would definitely say that.
But yeah, that's my advice: is to try it out, try it free first, and then if you need those additional services, make that jump. But don't get stuck to where I'm gonna try the freemium 14 days, and then you're stuck using these premium services, and then you're paying for something you're not utilizing.
You know, something you mentioned the other day, Cody, which I think is so true too, is quarterly or periodically throughout the year, looking back at what you're spending money on and seeing if it
definitely.
still makes sense, right?
Well,
And
it's
how
both personal and business.
Yeah, I mean they have whole, you know, programs out there, a whole piece of software now that just check if you're paying monthly fees that you shouldn't be paying.
So,
right?
Yeah.
client I work with
It's a business.
was working with the CIO, and for onboarding and offboarding
What was-
employees.
It's, the CI what?
CIO, Chief Information Officer, tech guy.
Okay.
Pretty much, and you have CIOs and CTOs. Pretty much, those are the people that are CIOs is internal, making sure everything that is up to snuff, security, tech wise.
CTO. What does it stand for?
CTO reports to the CIO.
What does it stand
CTO
for?
is research.
Technology office.
Yeah, Chief Technology Officer. CTO is usually research and development externally.
Okay.
So it's like, say for instance, Freshman Media wanted to build an app, they would hire a CTO to build the app, whereas CIO would ensure that policies are being words are hard,
For cybersecurity.
cybersecurity stuff like that, and the policies are being followed, and they're actually making sure the business is protected. That's your CIO.
Not every company has a CIO
No,
or
not
CTO,
every-
but
let's be
in
real,
the tech
there's only-
space, definitely,
Yeah.
right? Like software companies.
Right. So anyways, this company was trying to do cost analysis on, reviewing their current onboarding, offboarding process. And they found out that Microsoft 365, you can actually have a Windows machine in your browser through Microsoft for like $10 a month. Like a 4 gig, I think it was 4 gig, 8 gigabyte, 4 to 8 gigabyte RAM, 80 gigabytes of SSD and something like that. So it's pretty decent. They call them thin clients. So you pretty much, I can give you a Raspberry Pi or some kind of $300-400 computer, but I can pay for Windows 365 and you can get on Google Chrome or whatever. And now if you get fired, you can keep the cheap laptop. I have all of your stuff in the cloud.
That's interesting.
Right, so they call it thin client. So we actually did a cost
Wait,
analysis.
the computing power comes from the Raspberry? Or comes from
No, the computer is on
on
the
the cloud.
cloud.
It's using
The
these
virtual
other,
machine.
Oh wow!
Right.
Okay.
So and that's all through Microsoft. There's the different ones like Amazon has their.
So
workspaces.
someone happens to, quit your business and move
Well,
to
if you
another
had an
state
MDM,
with another device
Yeah.
that you need.
Yeah, well, if you had MDM on there as well, managed device, mobile device management. I got my MDM backwards here. And those services allow you to lock people out so they can't remote wipe.
Right, but
Right.
when you have a expensive product as an Apple
sure.
device, it's a little bit different. I can give two shits about a Windows computer.
Oh no, so there's services like Datto. I use Datto. It's called another service that is for MSPs that I can actually lock people out completely as long as you have my agent installed.
Well, I
So this
just
might
think
be a
about-
massive
but-
can of worms.
Oh yeah, I can talk about
but-
this for days.
This might be a massive can of worms, but at functionally,
You're
when
gonna
should
ask
someone
about
use
PC
Mac
or
and
Mac?
when should someone use PC?
Depends. It really does. I can do my
I saw a
job.
commercial on this.
I can do my job on a Raspberry Pi. And if you don't know what a Raspberry
Okay, I
Pi
don't know what a
is,
Raspberry Pi is, but it
is
does
a
sound
computer.
delicious.
It's a
It's
computer
tasty.
the size of my phone.
You know that in
It's
the
a little
kitchen,
single circuit board.
that
It's-
dashboard that you see in the kitchen with all like the Bitcoin numbers and our calendar that's in the TV in the kitchen.
I didn't know that was there.
You haven't seen.
The massive TV.
I see the TV.
You
I
haven't
didn't know it
seen
was
us
connected
looking
to
at the
something.
Bitcoin number
Well,
going down and crying, and
That's connected to a Raspberry Pi.
Ryan sobbing in the corner.
I'm doing just fine. Thank you very much. I mine crypto. I make money whether the market goes up or goes down. Fuck all the
Mine
other
makes
shit traders.
itself.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's like this big.
Yeah, it's
Right.
literally a device. It's a computer
Okay.
that's this big, and you can essentially customize it to do whatever it is you want.
Yeah.
Are you going to edit your videos on it? No.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's like we discussed the cost analysis of, all right, if I'm going to hire an employee who's a developer or a system engineer and need a $2,000 laptop, computers roughly every 3 years kind of obsolete. They have problems. So let's say a cost analysis over 3 years, divide that 2,000 over 3 years. Or I can give you a $100 laptop like a Google Chrome Thin client, which is a couple $100, and then I provision a
Yeah.
Windows
I
365
get that.
machine. Then, and not only that, but now the hardware never gets old.
When,
Yeah.
when
That's
it-
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they
interesting.
just released it like last year, I believe, in
Yeah.
beta.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really cool.
when it comes to the hardware itself, Mac versus PC, yeah, honestly, it really depends on what you're doing and what you're used to. And the thing is that one thing that Mac has that Windows does not have is resale value.
And
To a point.
also, but also like
Um,
when it-
communication. I think
Well,
it
yeah.
seems like so. I was on a project recently where I was in Indianapolis, and I was with a team of other creatives that were gathered by this company, and we were all working together. And I did notice they saved, because almost everyone else was on Mac, and they seemed to save a lot of time, and I was the only guy with PC there. And they were saving a lot of time, like passing
iMessaging?
files back and forth,
Oh, and
AirDrop.
airdrop.
passing
airdrop.
files,
Right.
airdropping, and like they were, because we were just like creating content like crazy. We would film a commercial and release it within 2 hours. From like
Wow.
it was
Do
so
you-
it was scripted, filmed, released in a total span of 3 hours probably.
Do you know what the most
Wow.
used app is on the planet?
Tinder.
Yeah, we haven't discussed freemium software.
For dating.
Not Tinder. It's iMessage,
Oh, yeah.
not text message.
iMessage. Oh, yeah.
iMessage.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And you have to have an iPhone for that. Or
But
Apple
yeah, so
device.
but every time that I wanted to like send a
Now
render
you gotta
over,
put it in
or
Dropbox and then send
or
the
like
link
so
over.
I was doing quality control for the photographers, the team of photographers we had, and so like I was just like I had to throw like for them to pass that. It was just it got very clunky. So I was just
You
like
try to put
if
it
I were
USB. You had to use a USB stick, and then they have a Mac, and they can't even put a USB in their Mac.
yeah yeah. So I just like had an embolism, and then we moved on.
Yeah, when
That's
when
fine.
it comes to, I would say Mac does a really great job when it comes to UI design.
Yeah.
For the average person to understand.
Simplicity. I'll agree
Yeah.
to that.
From a simple standpoint, Apple does a far better job than PC. One thing that Mac also has that always beats PC is that Internet Explorer doesn't come default on my.
There is no more Internet Explorer. It's called Microsoft Edge.
It's the same thing.
So back to what you were talking about earlier. At this other company where everyone is using a Mac versus using a Windows machine. Now, process. Again, it's all based on the process. Now, if I was that CIO saying, all right, well, if you're going to work for this company, you need to have a Mac, and this is why. Now, vice versa. Everyone has a Windows machine. We all use OneDrive. Everyone can upload their files to a, like Google Drive. So cloud storage. Now, for seamless or frictionless ways of actually uploading those files, it would be the same way. On a Windows machine, OneDrive comes on your actual machine. You can just drag and drop like to your docs, and it's automatically in those OneDrive folders.
Right.
So it all comes back to process and your needs of the business. Now, for creatives, yeah, Mac's great. A lot of stuff comes built into it because it's a Linux distribution. If you don't know what Linux is,
I know the theory of Linux.
Okay.
I know there's a penguin involved.
Fair enough. Yes.
Nice.
Fair
the
enough.
logo. That's
Yes.
all.
It's one of the logos. Yeah. So Linux has a ton of distributions. I mean, I can name them. It'll just acronyms and different names, but each one has a different service, right? You have like the DoD. They use Red Hat. Like any federal government, which is still a Linux distribution. Commercial either uses CentOS or Debian, and they're Linux at its core, but different distributions have different services that do different things, right? So again, creatives use Macs because it's easy, it's simple to get everything up and working, and everyone
Less
integrated,
issues.
less
Yeah.
issues up front. So again, process and integrating everyone together, you have to have that decision in the beginning, or you make that jump saying, hey, this isn't working out for us. We might make a switch from Windows to Mac or Mac to Windows.
I chose PC because in the early stages, I needed juice to
Oh,
be able
sure.
to handle
So
like certain codecs for video, and I needed to handle certain
Even with this
certain loads
PC
of.
in this room, could we have done this with the Mac? Absolutely. But that Mac,
It would cost like 8 times
So
the juice.
much.
8
oh,
times
so much more.
again,
Hardware.
that's not a cheap piece of hardware.
no.
That's
Yeah.
a $3,500 custom PC we have in here.
I
The
spent
same version of Mac is at least 10 to 15K.
Right.
I
Yeah,
spent
it's crazy.
$1,300 6 years ago,
Like when
And
this
it's still-
dies, I'm
and
probably
it's
gonna
still
get a
good.
Mac machine or a Linux machine
and
because
then
I can for the same price I paid for this, I can get a 128 gigabit RAM, which is just stupid, and a Threadripper for $3,000 versus a third of that. This has 8 gigs on it, and it's dying.
And you
I'm-
can't upgrade it
Oh
yourself.
no, it's so pisses
It's
me
all
off. Oh, it pisses
soldered.
me off.
yeah,
I was
I
so mad when I
That's
the
a
only
whole
thing that
nother
I've done to my
debate.
computer is add a graphics card to it this last year, and then I got a RAID for all my storage.
Good.
And so that's
Redundancy is important.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the right to repair combos. That's a
Oh,
whole.
that's a
that's a
whole.
whole
We can
nother
make that a
podcast.
whole
That's a whole
podcast. Oh
pod-
yeah.
So,
So
anyways,
here's a question. In your, geez, man, you've been in the industry for 10 years. Out of the time you've been making businesses and creating content, what software have you abandoned and why? When was that breaking point? When you were like, this shit sucks, I'm leaving.
Adobe.
Why? But besides, like, what was that pinnacle moment going, this is annoying and I found this new great software and I'm leaving?
Spending a whole day on a project and losing half of it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
When Live Save was on, but an update happened, and so Live Save got turned off.
Yeah.
Like that's just unacceptable.
Yeah, that's
And I think anytime software is getting in your way, making you work more, that is the chopping block.
James?
I had the same thing happen. I didn't leave though.
I just
I guess
stuck
I'm a
with it.
glutton for
Just
punishment.
Just a
It's an
really
abusive-
frustrated day and
No,
just walk out.
And it
abusive
was-
relationship, like
man, it
Johnny
was-
Depp and Amber Heard.
That's what that is true. That is true of Premiere.
You
That is
should have
true of
left, but you
Premiere.
stayed.
And that's why I've become obsessive that whenever I have a Premiere project, I'm always looking that autosave is happening, and that's. But I don't use it as much as you do, right?
Yeah.
So,
But also-
it's like for you a daily or weekly like experience, right? And so you have to be using something that you are profoundly confident in. I don't, right? I'm using it like quarterly or like once every other month, So
Yeah.
I'm not.
Also when I switched to Resolve, it got so much easier because like I didn't have to make proxies anymore because Resolve would just handle whatever footage I put in there. And it wouldn't stutter. The playback was fine. Like I never had another problem with playback, but to get Premiere to operate the way Resolve would, I would have had to spend another $2,000 or $3,000 on my computer. And I haven't had to update my computer in 6 years.
Yeah.
Because I'm operating with Resolve and I'm operating with Lightroom and Photoshop. And Lightroom runs so slow. It's so frustrating. But that's why I would really try to steer people away from Adobe because in my experience, they are only worth it if you have to have them. But they are not worth it if you have a choice. Sorry.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, if you're starting on your own, don't do it. If you work for a company and that's their standard, then I guess you need to take a couple training courses.
Yeah.
and
Switch to
deal
it.
with
Switch to it
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Like if you get to a point in your like just it's fine. It took me 3 weeks to switch. 3 weeks of getting comfortable with Resolve, but like I
Right.
paid $300 for Resolve, and that was it
Nice.
forever. But to get the full suite of Adobe, if to get Lightroom, Photoshop, and Premiere,
It's like $100
just
some
those
dollars a
three.
month.
That's not including After Effects.
Illustrator.
That's
Yep.
$30 a month.
Oh, okay.
All right, but that's because I get the photographer plan for Lightroom and Photoshop, and that's $20 for a single app with Adobe per month. And then, but if I want to use After Effects or somebody sends me something through
You
like
have to download something else. and
something
pay for
else,
more.
then like my cost immediately goes up to
$64 a month.
$64 a month.
Now-
and you catch up to that means that it's surpassing Resolve in the entire cost of Resolve in 6 months. And I've been doing this for full time 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah, I would say the only argument to that is on larger scale, security is a big thing. Old software has more vulnerabilities, and when you're paying for a subscription service, you have something that's always maintained.
With
And-
Resolve, you get all of the updates.
Oh, well then
They update it
that
and they
is
don't charge you a
great.
thing.
That is
They update
awesome.
it all the time too.
That is good to know.
Well, it's when new software comes out or a new company comes out, they always offer something nice where you pay up front versus a monthly thing. Like Tesla, when you bought a Tesla at a certain time, you got free supercharging for life. They don't do that no more. So
Or has incentive to buy it.
yeah,
Yeah.
people who have bought in, they're locked in for life. But any new person, it's essentially, I'm assuming that DaVinci Resolve will move to a monthly
Probably.
payment. But you bought in at a certain time, you'll be
You'll
fine.
probably get it for life. I actually got Starlink finally,
Oh, it arrived?
the RV version. Yeah, apparently there's 2 different versions now. I got an email the other day. They're like,
At least
yeah,
one's
so
mobile.
Since you have been on the waiting list since we first came out, we're going to offer you the RV version. However, residential Starlink services get priority. So during peak hours, you might notice an intermittent service. I was like, this is bullshit.
Oh, that sucks.
I was like, come on. The whole state of Virginia is just on a waiting list. I don't know. There's a couple
Yeah.
satellites we're waiting on,
So-
but
Since we're moving into some tech stuff, I want to
Right.
get in some news
man.
stuff. Aaron, can you bring up the Walmart WTVR? So Walmart is bringing drone delivery service here to Richmond.
that'll
Drone
be-
delivery.
that'll
Drone
be
delivery.
interesting.
Straight
So-
out of
Ooh.
Parks and Rec.
Scroll down.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Walmart is expanding the drone delivery service into the city of Richmond this year. Between the hours of 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. for qualifying customers will be able to order tens of thousands of eligible items for delivery by air in as little as 30 minutes. Total weight deliveries up to 10 pounds. And the delivery fee is $3.99. I will abuse the living crap out of that. If it's kind of smart. I just don't know what the radius is. When they say Richmond, like
Hmm.
it seems kind of odd to me to have a drone delivery service in the city because you can't fly in certain parts because of buildings. Is this more suburbs related
I'd say
type
the
stuff?
burbs.
Because Amazon's
A lot
drone
of
service
Nutella.
they have, which is not here yet, they use a company called Zipline. That's an actual plane. I don't know if you've seen it. Actually, Aaron, can you search it up? Type in Zipline drone delivery.
Yes, Aaron, type faster. I could order a lot of Nutella from there. 10 pounds?
That's
And
pretty
hit
exciting.
video?
to me.
So there's this company. It literally parachutes, but you have to have like a decent sized backyard
Airdrop.
for them to essentially airdrop. Any of these work. Yeah, that drone delivery. Of course, we see an ad for Gatorade. So this is obviously using. I mean, they're both drones. One's just a plane. The other one's just more of a the helicopter aspect. Wow, it's making you watch the whole thing.
Whole
There you go.
15 seconds.
It literally catapults off,
I use those in the Army.
and then it drops
that's
a
a commercial.
package.
That just
The
seems
blood
Blood?
pack. The blood pack.
Well,
What?
they started in Africa doing this for emergency.
Well, that makes
Interesting.
sense because
Yeah.
of the access to roads and stuff.
Well, you're not delivering like a hard drive that way, right? So how does
Catch it.
quick. We need my laptop.
Here's your 2070 GPU. Catch it.
I need a new coffee mug, a glass. So
Drop a
it's just
samurai
pretty
sword.
interesting, but it is coming
it's a cool
to
concept.
Richmond. I'm just curious on where. But when you talk about technology and
I mean,
software,
hopefully it's not like the Powhatan Hanover area. You got a bunch of
got
Old
power
people shooting it
lines
down.
and oh yeah.
I was
My
talking
luck-
about them rednecks.
With my luck, I'm gonna order something and like something's gonna show up at my door.
I think it's
It'll
big.
be a little box. I'll open the box. Open another box. There's a little piece of paper that says, "We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty."
Yes.
little Russian doll.
But yeah, when it comes to drones, though, if you're carrying that amount of weight, you kind of have to
That's
have
bigger
these
than I
things.
thought it
It
was.
is, yeah. I mean, compared to the sky,
But
it's
hey,
pretty tiny.
Ukraine's military has been using DJI drones and strapping grenades to them and dropping them out of the
Mhm.
sky. So, which is impressive how much weight these things can hold. So, but the way they catch it's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, that's pretty sweet.
So, it's just fun fact for the day. All right,
That's
now
cool.
let's get into our ad review where we watch a video commercial and we give it our thoughts and feelings and ways they could have done better, or if it was the perfect ad.
Yeah, this
Entirely.
is
And this is a software edition.
this is
right?
actually an IT company. But I thought it was pretty interesting.
Okay.
Let's do it to it.
Oh, what happened?
Is this
Audio's going through
is
the.
the sound coming out the wrong spot?
It is indeed.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
I guess we're not going to do a video review for this one. All right, so we have some technical difficulties, of course. So we'll review this for next week.
I think it's, the words really play into it.
Let's.
Yeah, I can see those being pretty important.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
I think this could be a good one.
This could be a
Good
good.
job. Good
All
job
right.
on the visuals.
Oh, it's
Good
funny.
job on the visual.
Let's move into the meme review then. So
Meme is on the channel. This is not particularly applicable to software, but I thought it was
I
funny.
mean, oh, you did one?
Yeah. So Aaron's
I
gonna
did a
pull it
meme.
up here.
I did a meme. You did a meme.
Oh, you did a meme too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well then,
There's 2 memes in there.
we have
good.
2 memes. Okay, I
Good.
guess we
There
we have
we go.
some.
Why not?
is yours applicable to?
I tell you what. Let's use
Mine's-
both of them because we
mine's
don't have
Mac
the
and, mine's
ad
Mac and
portion.
Windows fighting each other while links watch.
Nice.
It's pretty funny.
Did you
It's a
did you
bird.
upload it to
It's on the
podcast?
podcast and Team Link or Team.
Teamwork?
Is something happening? You know, you lost teamwork.
It's gonna cut like the last 30 seconds of this off. It's like sponsored by Google.
No, it's not sponsored by Google. That's it.
I talked about Google this whole time.
Please, Google overlords, treat us well.
Yes, Google overlords.
That's
We've
the
been,
way
we've
it
been
feels
talking
now.
your product the whole entire
Every time, like honestly, every time we do a shoot now, we're like, well,
we
what are
never
we gonna
talked
do?
about
What are we gonna?
security, by the way.
we need to get
for
some,
ads or apps.
Some photos, for the
Keep
Google
going,
overlord.
just keep going,
Placate the
just keep
Google
going,
overlords.
Just keep going.
Keep going.
Did I not hit send? I hit send. It should be
There
in.
it is. All right.
Yeah.
Nice. That's pretty good.
So we have, Windows users arguing with Mac users. And the Linux
But-
guys are just chilling out.
But Mac is based off Linux, though.
Debian, yeah. But Mac is Mac, as everyone says, but, most Mac users
So
don't know
he
that.
should be coming to the aid of the Mac.
He doesn't care.
I guess
They look
I
like
guess
they
we've
could
already
be
just-
twins.
we've already exhausted this, but like we didn't talk about Linux at all. I don't even know. I know there's a Penguin, but I
That's
don't
one.
know.
That's,
Well, it's
that's
'cause-
just
'cause
one
for-
flavor.
Yeah, for most
Like-
average small business owners, right? Linux is something that
Like
they'll never have to
Raspberry
think about.
Pi is technically Linux.
Okay.
It's just a different operating system.
I know it's like more efficient, right? It's more
Yeah,
efficient
I mean,
for,
to a
for
point.
your software.
I mean, Windows has Windows Server, not just Windows Home Edition or Windows Pro. They actually have like Windows Server Edition that are specific for doing certain things, right?
Okay.
So the idea of running a server is to do one job and one job
I
only,
see.
right? Having an end user or an endpoint, I can do documents, editing, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
if I have a server, that is my email server, and that is all that does.
All
That is
my-
my web server, and that is all that does.
All my crypto mining machines.
Those are
all,
technically servers.
all run off Linux,
Because it's
software.
doing one thing.
doing one thing.
Interesting.
Well, that's just server in general. Just think
And
of a
that's-
server in general. Just does that is best practice. The
Interesting.
server does one thing, because if you start using a server for multiple things, and then it becomes a risk. If it goes down, you just lost multiple services.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Let's see this next meme.
So I put it in the other podcast channel, but I just added it. I just added. Why we have two channels?
I don't know which
I
one.
don't know.
All right. Here we go.
New MCU fans. So for those of you who don't know, that's Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
From 2056, having to watch 182 movies and
pretty
35 TV shows just to properly understand the new movie.
That's pretty accurate.
Didn't we try to do
That's
when
funny. Oh my God, can you imagine?
Infinity
starting
War
from
came
scratch
out?
right now.
We did a binge watch of all
Yeah.
the Marvel.
Took like 2
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
2 or 3
More.
days.
Like a
But we had it
little
running in the office upstairs too.
Yeah.
Just non-stop running Marvel movies for like
Can
2
you
days
can
straight.
you imagine having to start over right now?
No.
It's
It's like 20
ridiculous.
movies. Plus like how many shows?
The
Like
TV
10
Just
shows.
sounds
now?
like something I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to get into.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
already like I've already kind of checked out of Marvel movies.
So do you
They
know?
don't
Most
care
of
when
them
something
gone.
comes out.
They've gone to.
Do you know that I have a friend that has a server that has a ton of content on it, right?
Well, that a Plex server or a Plex server.
Yes, and it may or may not have been legally acquired type of stuff, but somebody has done a cut of
Oh,
the
where it's one
entire
film?
MCU, right, all the way through like Loki, right, like TV series, and it's like into 4 parts that
like,
are basically
probably like 90 hours
each
straight.
one is like I remember scrolling through and seeing it. Each one is like 19 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. It's crazy.
Yeah, somebody did the same thing with like Lord of the Rings, just one movie.
But what's amazing about it is somebody actually took the time
I
to
would
go
actually
through
totally
and
watch
create this. And when I say they put it all together, like they didn't just take this movie happens here, then this movie, then this happened. It's chronological order. They went through
that's
all
so
of the
cool.
movies and all the TV shows,
That's
and
so
they
So
put
there's
it
movies
all
mixed
order.
in with other movies.
Yes.
Yeah.
All in order. It's
one-
insane.
it's
So you
one
would have a
movie.
scene from Thor
Yes.
going to the scene of Iron Man.
Yes, and Loki is like bouncing around through the whole thing because like Loki is like all through the different
That's dedication.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that's insane.
That's super cool.
I'm wondering if they
really
use
cool
Adobe
watch.
Premiere for that. Imagine
Likely-
And it crashed,
likely.
it
19
crashed
hours.
400 times.
Oh, man.
It's likely that they did.
Oh man,
Whew.
that's good.
All right, well, that
That's
concludes
There
the
was a-
second
did you have another
episode of the
2 memes.
2 memes because
Yeah,
we
2
didn't do
memes.
it.
We did the
you
video.
know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, well, that concludes the second episode of the Think Fresh, Move Forward podcast, and we'll see everyone here in 2 weeks.
My name's Cody.
I'm Aaron.
I'm James.
All right, I have to redo this outro now because the music's not going to sound good. It's going to sound like shit.
Ruined.
Oh, ruined.
I guess we gotta do the whole thing over
I gotta
again.
do the
And
whole
that's
thing
all,
over.
folks.
That's all.